What's going on, y'all? You're listening to Occupy the Media, and I want to jump into our next video / audio. If you didn't check out recently, Ron Paul just recently gave Donald Trump a grade on his immigration policy, economic policy, and foreign policy. Recent interview this weekend with Jesse Waters on Fox News. And, you know, one thing that you're not going to hear here too much is me criticizing Ron Paul, because I'm probably his biggest fan. I probably prop him up more than just about anybody, and I echo his message every day, daily. I repeat his talking points probably too much. Online and in person, you can ask anybody who's around me. So, but at the same time, no matter who you are, including Ron Paul, you're not above any criticism. So sometimes we do have to criticize what is wrong. And I feel that Ron Paul, in my personal opinion, dropped the ball on this interview. And I really think it's because Ron Paul tends to be really nice. You know, he's not going to just be blunt like I wish he would. But, you know, he basically gave Donald Trump a C- across the board. Now, when it comes to immigration policy, economic policy, and yes, even foreign policy, the president has no constitutional role in any of it. Just like Ron Paul has said in the past, I believe in his one of his straight talks, that the word foreign policy is not even in the Constitution. There's not supposed to be any foreign policy. We're not supposed to be over there unless we're at war, and we declared war. And of course, that's not going on. So in reality, every single grade should have been an F. But let's go one by one and explain why. So the first thing is immigration policy. Ron Paul immediately says, you know, he doesn't like walls. You know, he also mentioned that illegal immigration is down at the moment. You know, I guess he was saying that as a positive thing. He also states, quote, I don't think he has completely failed on immigration. And then Ron Paul also makes the comment that the subsidies for illegals entering this country is the main motivating factor for our immigration problem. It's an easy road to citizenship, jumping in front of the line and getting free education. So a couple of points here about immigration failing. Yes, he has failed completely, Ron Paul. He has got a fat F. You know why? Because the federal government has no role in immigration. There is Border Patrol is not in the Constitution. ICE Patrol is not in the Constitution. There's no constitutional authority for a wall or to occupy the border or to block the border or to stop anybody at the border. There's no constitutional authority for it. So if he's involved in immigration, it's an automatic F because he has no business being involved in immigration. Now, Ron Paul says that the subsidies for illegals entering the country is the main motivating factor. And he says this a lot, and this kind of disappoints me because really, in reality, it's not the subsidies or the welfare that's the reason everybody's coming to this country. That's not it. It's blowback. So whenever Ron Paul talks about foreign policy and he talks about blowback in the Middle East and why people want to attack us, why people want to bomb us, and why all of these refugees are going into Europe, what does he always say? It's because of blowback. It's because we're bombing the Middle East. It's because we're intervening in the Middle East and regime change and sanctions and all of that. Well, that's the same thing that applies to Latin America. But unfortunately, Ron Paul fails to bring this up every time he is asked about immigration. Whether he talks about it on his own show or whether he's asked about it, he either rarely mentions it or he doesn't mention it at all. And that's where I think he drops the ball. Because I think if you really talked to Ron Paul and brought up the blowback issue, I think he would agree with us. He would agree with us, strong, purist libertarians, that yes, there is blowback in Latin America. Well, then you got to say that. You got to bring that up every single time. Not bringing up the welfare. That's not why people are coming here. No one's fleeing their country, their loved ones, and everything they know so they can come and get a few peanuts or a whack education from our government. That's not why they're coming here. They're coming here because they're running away. They're escaping. They're fleeing our intervention, our regime change, our sanctions, our trade deals that prop up governments and help corporations. All of this intervention in Central America is the reason why all of these people are fleeing up north to our borders. That's why. And you can even check out Ron Paul back in the 80s. I posted up a video maybe last year or the year before where Ron Paul gave an interview on C-SPAN in, I think it was 88, when he was running for the Libertarian Party. And he said, yeah, the reason why we have our immigration problem is because we're all in Central America. I mean, we're not bombing Central America, at least I don't think we are. I don't know about us bombing them, but we are definitely involved. We're intervening. We're committing regime change like we did in Honduras. We're overthrowing leaders. We're installing our puppets. We're putting sanctions on places like Venezuela. And then all the people that complain about everybody at the border and they complain about all the migrant caravans that's coming, these people don't say shit about all the intervention in Central America that's causing them to come here. So you care about the symptom, but you don't care about what's causing the problem, the root cause of the problem. And Ron Paul usually dials in on the root cause of the problem, but here he's lacking on that. Okay, and it's important that us true libertarians that support open borders, that we recognize this and we have to call everybody out on it, including Ron Paul, because it's wrong. It's wrong to say that people are coming here for welfare. That's not why they flee their families and their countries. They're fleeing for their lives. That's why some of them are coming here barefoot. Some of them coming here with their kids, even though it's dangerous. And they're taking these long trips to get away from a government that we propped up, a government that we are help funding, all the foreign aid that we send out to Central America or across the world. All of that affects the people, the populations there. The trade deals that don't help the workers but help the governments and the corporations. That's another reason why they're coming here. Oh, one of the main things I can't believe I haven't mentioned yet is the drug war. And Ron Paul failed to mention the drug war. That's probably the number one reason for illegal immigration and our problem at the border is the drug war. Now, what has Donald Trump done about the drug war? He has expanded the drug war. He has grown the drug war. He has continued it. So therefore, he flunks at immigration. Failure. F. Okay, because if you really cared about fixing the immigration crisis, you would end the war on drugs, end the federal war on drugs and stop being involved, and especially stop exporting our drug war. When in the world are we going around Central America looking for drug dealers, all in the open seas and in the waters and stuff, looking for drug dealers for what? So again, we give an incentive for the drug dealers and the kingpins to get rich, you know, push corruption on the governments, by the governments pretty much. They're all in bed together, and that's why we have a problem in Mexico, and we have a problem in Guatemala, Honduras, all of it. All throughout Central America because of our drug war and because of our intervention. And unfortunately, Ron Paul failed to mention that. And so it's important that the rest of us do that. So what does he again get on immigration? He gets an F. Matter of fact, I'd give him a Z if I could. Now, the next one we're going to go to is economics, okay? And Ron Paul kept it honest here, and he said that Donald Trump is a long way from free markets. And that's right. He's a long way from free markets. There's nothing about Donald Trump or his administration that represents free markets or capitalism at all. Now, Jesse Waters, the guy interviewing Ron Paul, said, you know, quote, the debt is out of control. Because Ron Paul mentioned the debt. You know, you have to. He mentions the debt. And, of course, Jesse Waters on Fox News pushes back. He said, well, the debt is out of control. And neither party is going to do anything about it. And every year we hear about the debt and no one's going to do anything about it. As if we should just drop it already. As if we should just give up on the debate fight. Like, it doesn't matter anyways. This is a problem with the right-wing media and the left-wing media. None of them care about the debt. Not even the Republicans that pretend to be conservative, pretend to care about economics and capitalism. They're all socialists, all of them. Fox News is left-wing too. So here we have right-wing media not caring about the debt, not calling out Trump on the debt. And when Ron Paul tries to bring it up, they got to push back. But even with Ron Paul mentioning the debt, and the fact that he's nowhere near free markets, he still gives Donald Trump a C minus. A C minus for what? Again, when we look at the Constitution, the president has no role in economics. He is passing executive orders, passing tariffs through executive orders. He has no constitutional authority to do that. He's making these trade deals on his own. There's no constitutional authority to do that. He should be vetoing all of this, any of this, and not being involved at all. No trade deals, no NAFTA, no USMCA, no none of that. The president, the executive branch has no role in economics, and he's always bragging about how many jobs we created. The president doesn't create jobs. The White House, the executive branch does not create jobs. You're not supposed to have anything to do with economics. Okay? Anything that passes is supposed to come through the Congress. Okay, through the House that has the power of the purse. So of course he flunks on economics. Look at the debt. Look at the deficit spending. Listen to Peter Schiff Peter Schiff calls out Trump great when it comes to this about, the statistics that he points out compared to the statistics that Schiff points out to show you how our economy is going down. Okay. And, I don't have all the numbers here in front of me and don't memorize them as great as he does, but you could check it out for yourself or listen to him for yourself and how he exposes Donald Trump and this economy. The economy is going to crash. We're going to have another recession and it's going to be blamed on Donald Trump. And that's going to pave the way for Bernie Sanders and whoever to come and grow socialism even more, even though Donald Trump himself is a socialist. I mean, passing out subsidies to all these farmers, that's an F on economics. Putting sanctions on other countries and then sending foreign aid to all these countries around the world, just like Obama did. That's an F on economics. He wants to, what did he do? Raise the minimum wage to buy cigarettes. The government, the president has no authority to do that. So again, when it comes to economics, Donald Trump is not doing anything to scale it back or to shrink the size of government. He is growing it all and growing the debt. So it's an F, or better yet, a Z, if we could give him that. Okay. Now, last one we're going to jump into is foreign policy. And Ron Paul says, well, if we go off what Donald Trump says, which is some of the time, not all the time, because he doesn't even say the right thing all the time. But if we were to go off some of the things he says, I would give him a B+. That's what Ron Paul says. Well, I would give him an F on what he says too, because he says both back and forth. He talks like a libertarian one second and then he talks like a neocon the next. So which side are we going to lean on? We're going to lean on him being a neocon because he's not being consistent. So he's phony. And Ron Paul says there's just too much intervention for me. Which is right. And if you, this is one thing I do credit Ron Paul on, is that if you listen to his show, he calls out Donald Trump on foreign policy like every day. I mean, almost every day he's exposing the administration. He's exposing the foreign policy. So Ron Paul does a great job at that. And he always calls out Trump. He's not like his son, where his son just seems to sometimes call out foreign policy, but don't want to attach Trump's name to it, but still, Ron Paul's not going far enough, because eventually he tells Jesse Waters that Donald Trump gets a C-. How? Where is a C-? To get a C in foreign policy or economics or immigration, you have to do something right? You don't go to school and get a C on something and you flunked at everything. You got something. You got some of the answers correct. Donald Trump got nothing correct. Nothing. And any of you listeners, Trumpers listening right now, I dare you to tell me what he got right in the comments. I dare you to speak up. Some of these Trump supporters don't even like to tell me they're Trump supporters in person because they don't even want to spar. They don't even want to spar when it comes to Donald Trump and his policies, because they can't defend his policies. Just like Obama supporters didn't want to talk about Obama around me because they can't defend him. Well, I don't understand that. If you like your candidate, you support your candidate, you should be able to defend him. Okay, but there's nothing to defend when it comes to foreign policy. I mean, we're selling troops to Saudi Arabia. We're supposed to be fighting radical Islam, and we're giving troops to protect the biggest radicals out there. We're sending troops to protect them. What kind of sense does that make? We're protecting oil in Syria? Where is that in the Constitution? We still have troops in the Korean Peninsula. We still have troops all over the Middle East and Afghanistan and Iraq, even after they voted to send us for us to go away. We assassinated someone, Soleimani, because of a so-called imminent threat on America. Turns out there was no imminent threat. Where is the C- coming from? This is all F. Everything F. How many troops we just heard about dying in the last week or two? A few weeks ago, I think we lost maybe 5-6 troops that I can think of right now. Someone was in Africa. Someone was in Afghanistan, died in a plane crash. All these people coming to their mothers and their parents dead in a box for no reason. For no reason. So a C- at what? No, it's an F. It's an F on everything across the board. Okay? And one thing I forgot to mention in regards to immigration is that, we spend $775 per person per night at the border in these tent cities that are set up for the immigrants. This is according to the Department of Health and Human Resources. Services. Again, this is another thing that Ron Paul failed to mention. We talk about we talk about welfare. Well, what about paying for this? I mean, what are we paying? I mean, you give me $776 a night per person, and I'll take care of them. I'll figure out a better way than what our government's doing. And I remember hearing about some of these kids don't have toothpaste. They don't have soap and medicine, but we're spending $776 per person per night, and they can't even get toothpaste. And some of them are dying. Some of these kids are in government custody and they're dying away, separated from their parents. Another thing that Ron Paul didn't mention. Another thing that Ron Paul and Daniel on the Liberty Report failed to talk about a lot as well. This is important, though. We got to mention these things because these things matter. These are people that are dying in government custody. Okay, if we believe in freedom and liberty, that means that we do not believe in government force in any area. Okay, that means the government can't get involved in economics. It can't tell you how old you have to be to buy cigarettes or buy alcohol, and it can't tell the business owner who he can and can't sell to. If he doesn't want to sell to a 21-year-old, then that's up to him. Okay, and it's the same thing at the border. You don't have the government has no right to stop anybody. Okay, we have a Fourth Amendment right, and this Fourth Amendment right is the right to be left alone. This is not an American right. This is not a right that we got from our government at birth. No, this is a natural right that comes from our Creator, that comes from our humanity. That means that every person in the world that is born an individual has the natural right to be left alone. So when those migrants cross the border, no government, nobody, not even you listening right now, have the right to stop them. It's none of your business. Mind your damn business. That's what the immigrants and everybody should be telling Trump. Mind your business. It don't matter why they're here. They could be coming here to work. They be coming here to visit. They could be coming here to, to visit family. They could be coming here to set up shop and open up a business so they can give Americans some jobs. It don't matter why they're coming here for. Until they show up on your property and harm your property or harm you or violate your rights, it's none of your business. Okay? And so Ron Paul mentioned also that it's easy because they have an easy road to citizenship because they're jumping in front of the line. What line? Are you talking about the socialist line? Government has to decide who can come in, when they can come in, and they have to check them and vet them and check their health. I mean, why would we trust government to do any of this? This is what I would ask Ron Paul. Why would we trust government to run anything? And you know that line is long as hell if the government's running it. Have you seen the DMV line? Have you seen the line at the VA hospital? So why the fuck would we want the government to set up a line at the border or set up a line for immigration? And why would we trust the government to vet immigrants and tell us who are safe, who is healthy and who's not? Now, no one trusts the government to vet gun owners, right? When it comes to conservatives and libertarians, and you tell them, hey, we should have background checks for guns, which I don't support that either. But they know good and well, oh my goodness, what are you going to do what are you doing trusting the government to vet gun owners? Like they know who's safe and who's not safe. Exactly, I agree. So why would you trust them to vet immigrants? Why would you trust government to vet anybody? No, we don't trust government for that. Government needs to scale it back, get off the border, leave everybody alone. If you own land along the border, then yes, you can decide who crosses your land. Not nobody else's, not, land that's uninhibited, nobody's on it. They can cross all that. They can come here as many as they want, as much as they want, back and forth. That's freedom. Something that a lot of y'all forgot about. Okay? So, just to conclude here, Donald Trump gets an F across the board. And like I said, I'd give him a big fat Z if I could, if that was a grade. And really, there's no reason for anybody, including Ron Paul, to be kind about it or be polite or give Donald Trump a little bit of wiggle room. He don't deserve none of that. He's a war criminal. He bombs people. He kills people. He violates the rights of foreigners and Americans. He violates the Constitution day in and day out. The military acts outside of the Constitution every single day. That means that every single day there's a new reason to impeach Donald Trump. Okay? So again, what does he get? A great big fat F, and don't you forget it.